Yo, welcome to another episode of the Bjj Goons podcast. I'm your host, Tim, the Mushmaster Spriggs. And with me as always every week is...
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Nico Ball, no new Nico. Glad to be back for another episode. Guess I'm gonna do this one alone, Things have been going good with me. I drove here to Tim's house all by myself. Please don't tell my mama, because I'm not supposed to be driving until, I guess next week. But it feels amazing. I don't know if I actually told or announced it or nothing, but I bought a new car, I guess a week after I had surgery, because I had to ship my old baby back up to Pennsylvania because the tags expired in DC and I couldn't renew them. So it was amazing to get to drive around in the new car. I also moved to a new spot. Mid-surgery as well, or after my surgery. So I really had a lot going on in the last month, but it's kind of starting to settle down, kind of able to do things on my own, although I'm still on one crutch. So finally.
A lot has happened in the last month. This is going to be a very historic month in the run of the podcast in our lives, I feel, just because of the great changes in our lives, all positive, I would say. And, it's just been a crazy good month. And to cap it all off, today is my birthday.
Oh, it's today?
Yeah, today's my birthday.
Oh, shit. Damn,
By
I
the
feel
time
bad, though. I knew it was this week, but I didn't know when it was, and I feel bad. Oh, I'm a horrible friend.
you should not feel bad about not knowing my birthday because it's kind of easy to remember, October 10th, but it's not like DJs where it's Halloween, where it's like, come on, it's obvious. Like, how do you not know when Halloween is?
Yeah.
I did not have plans for my birthday this year just because my life is totally different 3 weeks ago, and I was not in the mood to celebrate the way my life was going. But I ended up having a pretty great birthday. I'm very thankful, and every day I wake up and I'm thankful. And I just think about where I am in life, and I think about how different my life has been between last birthday and this birthday a couple years ago, and just everything that's been going on. And we've been chronicling it for the last year and a half of this pod, and it's just I'm happy to be 31. I'm happy to be alive. And it just feels so darn good. That's what's up with me. So all in all, I think it's a great day, and I'm just happy to be doing another episode of the pod. A lot has gone on since the last time we've come on the show.
Yes, we have another goon added to the family. DJ finally had his son, who I didn't realize his initials were AJ. That's so cute. So it's Aries Jerome, and nobody can actually pronounce DJ's real name.
DJ's first name is very. I don't think D'Alonzio is not hard to spell.
Well, I was gonna say Delonzio, so I was gonna say it wrong, although I can kind of spell it D'Alonzio. Yeah.
Man, maybe his name is Delonzio.
But yeah, that's amazing. So we're all so you're on the 10th. My birthday is the 27th, and my Cash App is Favela Jiu-Jitsu. If y'all would like to bless me, Venmo too, PayPal, everything Favela Jiu-Jitsu. DJ's is the 31st, and now the young Aries is the 7th, which is actually a day after my dad's birthday. So October is just a good month. It's filled with people that were just born into greatness. I mean, the Scorpio side of the month I feel is a little bit better, but Tim's been doing great things as a Libra. He's really been balancing out that checkbook. His accountant's happy.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Libra season is get that money season. It is a scale. It is a balance, where you balance money, you balance the checkbook. Listen, my third eye is open right now. Yes, you just see how everything comes together. Sometimes things are just meant to be. And shout out to DJ, he's a dad now. Now his girlfriend can't leave him no more because now he has his son is here. Shout out to baby Aries. In a few years, we might see him in the UFC or doing jiu-jitsu, or since he's in Thailand doing Muay Thai, or maybe he'll be an accountant. Who knows? But I'm happy he's here. I'm happy for DJ. Shout out to him and his lady for having a healthy baby boy. So where do you want to start today? Do you want to talk about Nogi Worlds?
Yeah, so you were watching a little bit of it when I came in. I didn't get to binge Nogi Worlds. I got to binge Brazilian Nationals, but I did see a lot of dope things that happened in the lower belt divisions, like for example in the brown belt division, Jansen Gomez. Um, Once again, he got another gold medal. And what is even doper is like the interviews that he's doing on Flow Grappling. So Jansen Gomez is from the Cantagalo favela, and he closed out his division with Ethan. Was it an
Elder Cruz.
Elder Cruz? Do you know who that is? Somebody that I should know. Is he good?
He's pretty damn good because he just won Nogi Worlds and closed out the Open. I heard about him, and one of the homies, Jonathan Scroggins, was telling me that he is the future, and he proved it to me. He's definitely a guy to be reckoned with. He beat my teammate Sergio in the finals of the weight class. Shout out to Sergio, Crazy 88. The guy, Sergio, was in a crazy car accident, I think, a week ago.
A week ago.
Yeah, like his car was freaking totaled. It looked a hot ass mess, and he came and he took silver. And I'm thinking a full camp. I think he can win next year. But shout out to him. But shout out to Elder Cruz. He's somebody that you should be on the lookout for. Checkmat just keeps on churning out dangerous guys. Jansen Gomez is on a tear. It's so exciting now in jiu-jitsu to see all the up and comers just run through the ranks. And it's really cool to see how Nogi has kind of blurred the lines of where you are as far as ranking. A few years ago, DJ and I were talking about this, how because Nogi, there is no real official ranking system that anybody could get got just for the strength of the way the sport is. It's Nogi. It's very explosive. It's technical, but in a different way, and it relies a lot on athleticism as well. And because of the style of Nogi, it evens everything up. And even though you could be world class in traditional jiu-jitsu, it's the Wild West now. Anybody can get got. It's so cool. Another example is the Hillbilly Hammer, who just tapped out Roberto Jimenez, and then he comes out and he wins Nogi Worlds. It's just so great. Shout out to Jansen Gomez, though. Really,
Yeah.
really, really good. Really good. And middleweight winning the Open.
Yeah, another shout out to Elijah Dorsey for keeping his ass home this competition because Eduardo Hockey was able to also take home another. This is his first world title, I believe. Um, at Brown Belt, amazing performance. He sent me his interview. That was really dope to see that. And then I was watching, not only did I see, but I forget who sent this to me. I think it was maybe Nushu. Devontae Jones almost slept Felipe Andre. And just like, as a content creator, like just like the image that comes up when you share the link or the video of just Dante's face in the submission attempt is awesome. It's great. It just makes it fun to see jujitsu and actually just like be able to go on to Flow to see a lot of high level submissions, a lot of fast paced guard passing instead of a lot of drama. That's what I go to Flow Grappling for, not for the bickering about like money and prices and stuff. So that was really dope.
It's real dope to see how far the sport has come. And when I started in 2006, to know that it'd be all over social media, it'd be a huge subculture, and you'd get up to the minute updates like they do every other sport. And shout out to Flow for the production. Even with documentaries, they did a mini documentary about me and my run through Who's Number One, and me and Ty were on there. Just seeing that, but to see these guys get up to minute updates, and man, Devontae Johnson, an alumni of the Bjj Goons podcast, almost put Felipe Andrew to sleep. It was crazy. And the comment section was hilarious because they were dogging out the referee because Felipe Andrew was definitely tapping for a while before they stopped the match. And when Devontae released, you could see that Felipe Andrew was getting up, but then he was a little shaky, a little stumbling because all that blood rushed back through the rest of his body and back to his brain. The post, those chokeouts are so crazy because when you let go, somebody can still get put to sleep. But shout out to all the winners, and it's still going on as we speak. By the time you hear this, it'll be over. But Cyborg won ultra heavyweight, I know for sure. I just saw that he won ultra heavyweight. He just took Victor Hugo's back.
Yeah, I was watching Gabriel Souza earlier, and like his passing as like, is he featherweight rooster? I think
He's a little dude.
he's a little dude, and it was just so fast, so explosive, and he was like doing a sequence that's very similar to the sequence that I do in gi, but I was just watching it mesmerized because there was no grips, and like I can't fathom how you would be able to get the same kind of hip control that I used to dominate in a gi, like when you're all sweaty and like that's why I love gi. I love gi, but once I get back, I'm definitely gonna try to get on that no gi training.
In a way, being great at nogi is slightly more difficult because of the lack of grips and friction, and it requires a whole different level of control. But yeah, shout out to everyone that did Nogi Worlds. It's really cool to see how Nogi Worlds is being respected more and more every year. And maybe I'll do it again. Who knows? So that's our new Nogi Worlds report. Nico, you sent me a article pertaining to martial arts. It's martial arts related, I could argue, yes. Um, and a little bit about how we always try to implicate self defense, social issues on the pod. So, would you like to tell the story of restraint and seclusion?
Yeah, so I found this article off of one of the listeners' stories, I think, actually. Um, So I forget what the title of the article is. We'll definitely drop it in the Patreon or on some link, maybe it's just in the YouTube description. Sorry, guys. I'm so used to filming the Patreon episodes and then telling them I'm going to drop stuff on the page for them. But what happened was a 5-year-old was choked out by a school officer. That's what it's saying in the title and the headlines. I want to kind of distinguish the fact that this was not an actual cop. This was a school security officer, one of your top flight security officers, which, could be good or could be bad in the situation. Um, but it's yet another example of how authority is resorting to violence instead of restorative practices. So apparently, the student was removed from Spanish class for singing too loud. Like the fact that he was even in Spanish class as a 5-year-old. He was diagnosed with ADHD, so he should have some kind of plan and supports in place for when instances like this happen. But when his mother arrived to pick him up, she witnessed this assault on her son by the official that had him like in a 90-degree choke. So this happened about 2 years ago. We're finding out about it now because the school refused to take action on this. They kind of brushed the issue aside. So the mother stood up for her son. She advocated. She joined a nonprofit in Maryland that's called the Alliance Against Seclusion and Restraint, and they're working to pass a bill that would bar school personnel and police stationed on campus from physically restraining students in potentially life-threatening ways, like restricting their breathing or using prone or supine restraints. It was only because of her ability for lobbying for change that we're able to hear this story, which I think is kind of really important because, a lot of people that experience this kind of stuff in schools, like their parents aren't as active. And even if they want to be as active, they don't have the time or the energy because if you have one job or multiple jobs or a single parent household, where in a lot of cases, you just really don't know the severity of the neglect going on in the schools. Like I've worked in several schools in Southeast DC. I always generally work with no, I've always worked with at-risk populations, and I have never really seen them providing the correct services that they need in respects to special education, like ADHD, which is more like having one-on-one help, having a resource room where you could leave the class to go to, being able to walk in the hallways with somebody. These are all things that are supposed to be implemented for kids that have ADHD. Chokeholds and physical aggressions are definitely not, especially by somebody that's in the position of an officer, because he now is kind of like scared of cops. He thought that officer was going to kill him, was his impression from that. So it was just a crazy event. So thoughts on that, Tim?
My first thought is as a culture, as a society, I think we need to stop punishing or responding to, I guess the best term would be insubordination from people, specifically children, with violence or with punitive measures. Because at the end of the day, it's not that serious. And I don't know what it is about here in America. I don't know anywhere else because I'm not from anywhere else. But coming up in the school system here, either public or private, when kids try to show any kind of agency over themselves, people lose their shit. Authority figures lose their shit. And I'll take this example from the story that we just read. A kid is singing way too loud. How old was the child at the time?
5 years old.
A 5-year-old being loud. Well, number one, the teacher's a piece of shit. Because why the fuck would you call a school research officer into a room with a 5-year-old because they're singing too fucking loud? And let me go back a little. As far as our society, I think what needs to be changed is the school system. Why the fuck are we having 5-year-olds sitting in a classroom all day and you give them, in a lot of cases, less field time or outside time than you would a prisoner in the criminal justice system? These kids don't get any yard time, or as we call it, recess. They're not getting any recess time. And it's so stupid to me. It's insane because you expect these kids to sit quietly all freaking day, barely give them any time to exercise. You're overloading them with information that 9 times out of 10 they're not going to fucking use. And then if they don't sit quietly all day, they are going to get put on pills that on the street are illegal. Like Ritalin, all these ADHD medications are just pharmaceutical versions of street drugs that if you get caught with them, you're going to jail for a very long time. But lucky for you, you're going to get more yard time than kids get recess. When I was a kid, I was diagnosed with ADHD. And yes, I had a hard time concentrating, but I don't think that is a symptom of a disease as much as it's a part of the human condition, because people are not designed to just sit down in a fucking classroom all day with uninspired teachers or teachers that just lost their light and spirit to teach people on subjects that they don't give a fuck about. And what helped me to bring it back to martial arts was going outside, exercising, and more specifically doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Because once I started training martial arts, once I started doing karate as a teenager, once I started doing Jiu-Jitsu, it made everything else tone down, and it helped me tremendously. And relating to martial arts, we hear it all the time. If people in positions of authority, whether they be police officers, safety officers, in this case, school research officers, if they were learned or taught martial arts, they'd be less inclined to do this. And to that I say, bullshit. Stop the cap. Because you don't need martial arts to deal with a 5-year-old. And he gaffled him anyway. So it's not a matter of martial arts being the answer. I think it's a matter of society changing, and it's a matter of having dire consequences to mistreating young children, more specifically young black children. Because if I walked in there and I saw someone gaffling a kid, let alone my kid, I would have killed the guy. I would have killed him.
I could think of a lot of instances where, parents might escalate to violence. And that's just, it's not right, but it's what's happening. And then it's just also traumatic for the kid, as well. Did you ever have like police or metal detectors in any of the schools that you went to?
No, I did not. I did not. And I think that was because I was fortunate enough to grow up in areas where it was racially mixed, in that they don't do that type of shit for white kids. They mainly do that shit for poor people and minorities.
Yeah.
And the school to prison pipeline is for real. It's just, you know how when you go to a gym, like say Crazy 88, for example, you go in there, they got showers, it's very clean, everything's organized, right? There's a certain standard when you go in there. You are presented a product that's high class, you are expected certain things, there's a uniform, all that stuff, right? It sets a tone so that you're expected to train a certain way. It's a standard, right?
You hold high standards, yeah.
It's high standard. And it's just your environment, right? It's preparing you for the upper crust. If you go to a school and it's ran like a prison, subconsciously, whether we like to admit it or not, you're going to internalize that. If every day you go to school and there's metal detectors, you got school research officers treating the kids like they're inmates in a prison, and you go to a school where no one gives a fuck about you, the teachers don't give a fuck, subpar textbooks, subpar everything, it's going to guide you to a certain path. So that was a long convoluted answer to yeah, no.
No,
I did not have metal
yeah.
detectors in my school.
And this is definitely coming from like a really nice neighborhood in Virginia. This is really close to where I live. Like Tim's a little closer to Maryland, but I live in DC. I used to live in Virginia, so I've never worked in schools in Virginia. Even when I was in Virginia, I was working in DC. So I've never worked in a school without a metal detector. But it's very important to like realize that this kid was in the suburbs. He was in a very nice neighborhood and still wasn't getting adequate treatment. And a lot of teachers, this is pre-COVID too, because it's like I know a lot of teachers right now, they're burnt out, they're under resourced. Even my really nice night job that I quit, one because they were not being supportive of my professional development, as they like to always say, because they had a whole professional development program. But then when I had an issue, like, and I needed to do something for my professional development, that was a no-go because it wasn't aligned with their goals to make their numbers. Um,
Mm.
you know, well, I forgot where I was going. No, even they have metal detectors. So it's like anywhere in the city, like you see these metal detectors. But Fairfax is more like an area where you have people that are constantly protesting critical race theory and having pro-abortion rallies. And like they'll have them very close to schools, outside schools. I know somebody that's always driving home, being like, "Oh yeah, I saw another rally right in middle, right across from a middle school."
Mm-hmm.
So Virginia is definitely an interesting and highly racist area as well. Like I remember in like back in 2013, and there was a really bad immigration thing, and normal cops had the authority to ask for your papers, so you had to carry your papers with you. Like it's not. No, I guess it is legal. It was really fucked up because you had to carry your papers with you, and I remember being pulled over a couple times, and they see my last name, and it wasn't Hispanic, and they're like, "You can go," and it's just such blatant racism. So, um,
I think that going back to the martial arts aspect, to prevent things like this happening or to make a school environment better for children, would be to give them something where it's less likely for them to have to deal with this shit and teach them martial arts so that it's something constructive for kids to do in school. And, I'm not going to say that kids don't have issues, but I think martial arts training, specifically jujitsu, would go a long way to help bridge the gap, so to speak. It would definitely help with them dealing with any kind of symptoms of not wanting to sit down all day. I think it would help them feel more secure and safe. Because at the end of the day, this is all about safety. This young man definitely needs some kind of martial arts training because, when I trained martial arts, it made me feel secure in my ability to protect myself. And I think at the end of the day, that would help tremendously. But martial arts isn't going to solve
yeah, I mean,
that problem with that cop or that top
martial
flight
arts
security.
is great. It's great for kids that have ADHD who need like an outlet. Like, but that could be martial arts, that could be dance, that could be singing, that could be any kind of like extracurricular activity. Because learning doesn't always have to happen in the classroom. And the kids that can't learn traditionally, which are the majority of them, a lot of them will make it by. Some of them will just make it by cheating, and that works. But others will excel at other things. And I think we've kind of like push people into this broken school system. And you see things like Montessori schools, which they only really have in elementary, and those are really great for just like engaging kids in other way. And that's what's really dope about martial arts, is it's kind of engaging kids in other ways and getting them to be active. So like you have that from the kids perspective. And then like, from the perspective of like security, it's like I don't know who the hell that school was hiring to deal with that. Like there's definitely more proactive ways that the school could have gone about it, and like security in general should just be held to like training standards. But it's important as parents that you're kind of aware of like who is involved with your children, like from the teachers, from the security,
Mm-hmm.
and like what outlets they could have. Because one thing is everybody's like, oh, put them in jujitsu, put them in the jujitsu. But it's like, how do we hold like these standards, like professional development standards to like our martial arts instructors,
Mm,
especially like if we wanted to like start incorporating more martial arts into schools.
that's a good question. It's out of my pay grade. Speaking of pay grade, let's pay some bills. All right. We have two sponsors for the podcast that I love and hold dearly into my heart. The first being Blue Edge Business. Don't forget to check out our friends at Blue Edge Business for all your digital marketing, web development, and graphic design needs. They can help you with anything from Facebook and Google ads to websites and landing pages. Tell them me, Tim Spriggs, sent you for a very special discount. Those are the people that helped me with my website, Nico. And ever since I won Who's Number One, I've been getting a lot of hit ups. The price of a brick has gone up, but it's okay. Just go to timspriggsbjj.com. And yeah, once again, shout out to Blue Edge Business. You earlier had a sandwich on the couch, which I'm not mad about. And that you told me that you need to change how you're eating. Like, no more tropical smoothie, okay? I know.
I'm still going for the smoothies. I'll get my food from, yeah, but I'm still going for the smoothies.
So our other sponsor is John's Fit Meals. Go to johnsfitmeals.com and use the promo code Goons, as in BJJ Goons, for a very special discount. These guys are the people that helped me with my meal prep for Who's Number One. The breakfast burritos are the bomb. All the food is fresh, hand created, like homemade. It's not like you get them made somewhere and then they just put them in a box for you. No, these are cooked specially, each meal handcrafted for your needs. Top-notch food. Go to johnsfitmeals.com and tell them the BJJ Goons sent you. I love them breakfast burritos, man. It made my life so much easier. You know how you said there's opportunity cost when you spend time, and time is money.
Yeah.
Using John's Fit Meals definitely helped me with the time. And I needed a lot of time because I only train 3 times a week, Nico. According to Gordon Ryan, I'm just a hobbyist. That's the best guy in the world. So what does that say about y'all? Anyway, let's get on a lighter note because I love pro wrestling. You don't know much.
I don't. But I do know that another UFC fighter has been snatched up by AEW. Is that
Yes,
right?
All Elite Wrestling.
What?
All Elite Wrestling.
All Elite Wrestling. All Elite Wrestling. So one of my former training partners, Junior Dos Santos. No, we were definitely not training partners. We trained.
I was like, damn, no wonder your hips fucked up. You training with this giant.
No, we trained together at Novo and Yao. He came there for one fight camp. I forget when, because he bounced around a couple teams, and so he did Novo and Yao for a while. But no, I remember being in the showers, listening to music, and he was like hitting pads, and it was like, what the fuck is going on? He's definitely a huge guy, but like a friendly giant. Like, he's really nice. I've seen him. He's been actually posting all these really dope TikTok videos. So for all of my followers that are trying to learn Portuguese, the videos that he's posting are awesome because like he's speaking in Portuguese and they have the subtitles, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of makes sense when I saw that, like him doing all those videos and then like, oh, now he's doing wrestling. I was like, oh, like that wrestling, that personality thing always coming out in the TikTok. So I was like, I guess that's kind of where he was getting it from, building that hype. So have you heard about this? Like,
I watch AEW every week. I'm kind of behind because when the show comes on, I'm usually training and my life is insane right now. But I watch consistently. American top team has invaded All Elite Wrestling. At least like part of the show is dedicated to them invading. And
the MMA team?
The whole MMA team. You have
serious? Because I was saying, they're saying Cain Velasquez followed, like.
So Cain Velasquez, he's fought. I don't think he's going to be in AEW. He was in WWE for a little bit. He was in AAA in Mexico. But yeah, American Top Team has basically invaded All Elite Wrestling. I saw Jorge Masvidal while I was in Austin for Who's Number One, flying knee Chris Jericho in the face. So it's pretty interesting.
Wait, he's actually in the shows? Because I did read he was going to be a corner, and I just thought, like, oh, Junior Dos Santos is going in, and Jorge's just going to make an appearance. But no, Jorge's already been out there.
He's not going to wrestle, but he's going to be a corner man, and he's going to get physical because he did throw a flying knee at Chris Jericho. Junior Dos Santos will be making his debut with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky versus Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Jake Hager, who, if you do not know, Jake Hager is a professional wrestler, but he is currently an undefeated MMA fighter for Bellator. So
I did see that. Yeah.
the crossover between combat sports and pro wrestling has always been there, but now it's turning up again. Every couple decades, it starts turning up again. And I'm happy to see it, because I believe that professional wrestling is a smarter career move than professional mixed martial arts, in my opinion, just because the careers last longer and the pay is better. If you are a professional MMA fighter with any kind of name and you feel as though you want to stop or you want to make a transition or your run is over, I would highly suggest you go into the world of professional wrestling, because it helps suspend disbelief in the fans' eyes, because they're looking at it as, oh, this guy is a shooter. Little professional wrestling term you might not know, Nico. A shooter is somebody that is a professional wrestler with a legitimate fighting background, which Junior Dos Santos does. I think he's a 2-time UFC champion, or at least 1 time. He was the champion of MMA, the baddest man on the planet one time. And now he's going to do pro wrestling, and he's going to make a shitload of money if he plays his cards right, and he's good. I think every combat sport tries to do professional wrestling now. They do it poorly. That's just in
Wait,
my
every
opinion.
combat sport, like some federation in the sport tries to do it, or the crossover of athletes?
I don't think the crossover is done poorly. I think a lot of the guys that are shooters, let's say a Kurt Angle, who was an Olympic gold medalist in freestyle wrestling, did a phenomenal job of transitioning. There's a lot of Brock Lesnar was a NCAA champion, and then he went to do pro wrestling. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, you know how Conor McGregor basically took Ric Flair's whole gimmick, and he looks silly doing it. I think there's a lot of jiu-jitsu people that try to do the pro wrestling thing, but they don't do it well. And there's promotions that try to do it, but it's not the same. And professional wrestling does professional wrestling better than anybody. And when done correctly, professional wrestling can be a huge social phenomenon. And it might be on the way back to that. So I'm happy for Junior Dos Santos. I'm going to be watching very closely. Who knows? I might throw my hat into the arena, but who knows?
Can you watch these fights live? Well, I assume you can watch them live. Where is AEW?
It's on TNT.
But no, I mean, you can go to them. Do they have people that go to them?
Yes.
So where is the actual promotion located?
AEW is at their headquarters in Jacksonville, but they travel around the world. Well, around the United States. Same thing as WWE. They have shows now because COVID doesn't exist anymore, especially in the South. And they are on tour, so I would just Google AEW shows in your area and go to it. They do a lot of shows in this area. I might check it out.
So if anybody's interested in dating Tim, that's the perfect first date idea. Ladies, you can invite a man out too. You can take that first step. That won't bug you, will it?
No, I would love it. If a woman took me out to a professional wrestling show as a first date idea, I mean, man, I might have to knock her up.
Right? That's a keeper.
That is a keeper, yes.
Oh man.
Do the DJ technique. If you like a girl, get her pregnant so she can't leave you. He said this. It's not a diss. He said this on the show. If you watch the show,
His worst line, and then his best friend keeps repeating it, and it's like, "Damn, DJ, how'd you take a sweet moment and then just fuck it up like that?"
Hey man, that's classic DJ. Is that it? We have anything else you want to talk?
I had one more last BJJ piece of news that I found. BJJ stars related, so in Portuguese, not sure if you guys all noticed, but one other man is trying to one-up you. Leo Vieira is coming out of retirement for BJJ Stars 7.
Ooh.
Have you heard about that? When was the last time Leo Vieira competed?
I think he competed at the Legends match between him and Chael Sonnen in 2017 ADCC. Am I correct?
What, that was like a legit question. It was never
Oh,
that
that would be
wasn't
my
like that
best
wasn't me.
guess.
Like I was that
You
was,
should
no.
Google it and
I
see
said
if I'm
I
wrong.
found a little bit of information, not a lot of bit of information, but no. I just thought that was really dope. And then I also thought like this man trying to come and steal your shine. You know, we did the retirement thing first. You know, I'm gonna take a little percentage of it, 20%. You know, I was his partner trying to work through it with him, and then
Hmm.
you know, so that should be interesting. Um, Big name in jiu-jitsu. Not sure. No, it's October. No, October 20th is something that I want to talk to you about on the next episode. We about to leave y'all. That's all I got for this episode.
Uh, okay. We got a little bit of time. We got like about 5 minutes left. I want to say this. Okay, here's my bit of black belt wisdom. Stop making excuses. I have a quote, and I said it on Belea's breakdown, and I'm going to repeat it here. Excuses are the tools for the weak and incompetent. They build bridges to nowhere and monuments of nothingness, and those who use them often amount to masters of nothingness. And I'm saying that because I'm tired of hearing excuses. So many times when people lose, they put out excuses. They put out long diatribes on their social media about why they lost. Roundabout way of humble complaining about losing. To me, if I'm losing, I'm going to say on to the next one or didn't get the job done. Not a long ass story about it, which is a roundabout way of explaining away or making excuses for a loss. And I have no beef with this individual. I have no reason to. But I was made aware of Kynan putting up a post immediately after Who's Number One about how he didn't feel good or how, I mean, he gave me respect. He said, shout out to my opponent, but it really bothers me personally. I mean, this could be a personal thing too. And it was made, actually, was made aware to me by Ricardo Amendolia too. And it really irked me that I found out that way and that it was actually a story and had some kind of traction as to him not feeling up to snuff, not feeling well, and
Oh, yeah.
alluding to the fact
Nah,
that
nah,
that's
fuck
why he
that, fuck
lost.
that. I just read the actual comment, like, because he's like, you don't put the but congratulations to my opponent after the fucking butt. It's supposed to come first before your excuses. So it says second place at Who's Number One Championship. Thank you to everyone that helped me get ready for this tournament. Comma, I wasn't feeling in my best conditions, but nobody listens to what comes after the butt. Like, but yeah, whatever. Yeah, so I understand. Yeah.
Put some respect on my fucking name, people. That's all I ask. Because when I lose, I don't make excuses, but everyone says I suck. I mean, what is it, man? What is it? Am I a bum? Am I a hobbyist? Am I great? If I beat somebody, it's very seldom that they say, "Oh, Tim's the shit." But if I lose, I'm a bum. And I just think that's kind of disrespectful. And I don't like how I had to find out about it on a separate podcast. And then it's like a thing now. Like, it's a thing like, oh, he only won because he was sick. Listen, I'm in a sport where everyone does fucking steroids, okay? And chances are 90% of the people at that event took performance enhancing drugs. This guy Kynan was training 2 times a week, or I'm sorry, 2 times a day probably. He said he was in camp, and I saw the embedded. I saw the preview show. He said he felt great. So then all of a sudden, he doesn't feel so well. Well, damn it, you could have fooled me because you were just coasting through guys. You broke Kyle Bohm's foot. You just toyed with the guy in the second round. You had an easy side of the bracket. And then you're fighting me who had wars all goddamn weekend. And now you're going to say I wasn't feeling good, but thanks anyway? That's kind of disrespectful. But, it is what it is. I still won. I'm still the best in the world. No excuses, folks. That's my bit of black belt wisdom. And that's all I have to say for this week's show. Nico, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at no new Nico. I appreciate all of the goons that have been sending me examples of BJJ thottery. We we are going somewhere with this, and it is not just a spank bank library. Thank you very much. For those of you that insinuated that, we will be talking about representation in jiu-jitsu, and we will be using some examples that you have been sending. We want to do this on our town hall. We haven't confirmed the date. I'm trying to push for October 26th. We'll have the Discord going by then so we can nail in the exact time. We want to get a time that's going to work for the most amount of people, and this will be our first time doing it, so we definitely want to hear your input. We had some meetings last week with 2 new designers, so we got some new merch that is going to be coming out. So go to favelajujitsu.com. 2 people have bought shit recently. So sorry on the delays. You guys should have emails with your discount codes. Some of the stuff is already out. The rest will be out by Tuesday. So again, make sure to show some love on that Instagram. No new Nico.
You can find me at timspriggsbjj.com. I teach private lessons, both virtually and in person. I create game plans. I watch your footage. I watch your matches. I compile a database of your best techniques and positions, attacks, all that good stuff, put it in the form of a flow chart and give it to you. With that flow chart, I have a footnotes page with hyperlinks to video examples of what exactly I want you to do. Also, I have a service in which I do match critiques. I watch your footage, review it in real time, and tell you what you need to be doing in that match and what you need to do in the future. Also, you can check me out at Tim Spriggs BJJ on Instagram or Facebook. I don't really use Facebook, but hit me up on the gram. For both of us, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/Bjj Goons, where we have town halls, we have techniques, I show moves, and if you ask me as a patron, I will promise you that I will show you the technique that you desire. Oh, and we got extra bonus content, like extra bonus episodes with guests or us talking hella shit that you have to pay for. So check us out at patreon.com/Bjj Goons. On behalf of Nico, this has been the Bjj Goons podcast. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Perfect. 42 minutes.